I'm going to teach you guys how to beat the final boss in Remnant 2 without any cheese, just straight up. We're going to beat this thing down. Real quick, I'm going to show you some screenshots of my build as a hunter class with the dual archetype of gunslinger. You can see the weapons I'm using, the mods I'm using, and all my skills. Next, we're going to go over quickly the attacks from the boss in the first phase. Okay, he's got quite a few. One of them is, of course, his slam attack, which can be deadly. We're going to talk about that. He also has an attack where he kind of drags his sword in the ground towards you. And then also he has one where he sets out some projectiles that kind of sit there and then they will eventually chase you. And then he also has one where he pulls a vine out from the ground and then grabs you with it. And then lastly, he has his just basic standard overhead attack with his sword. So now that we know all of his attacks, I'm going to show you how I overcame them in my last final attempt. First things first is I shot him immediately with the quick draw skill that I have. Sometimes it would do really good critical damage, sometimes not. And the latter is what happened in this attempt. But I just prepared for his first move, which is 100% going to happen all the time. And that is his sword attack where he goes overhead and slams into the ground. And you're going to want to roll to the left when he does this. And then that was when I would start shooting him all the way until I was running out of bullets. Then I would reload and prepare for the next move. Now, this could be the slam move, it could be the projectiles, or it could be this drag move, which you can see here. And I rolled forward when this happened. As soon as the sword hits the ground and starts moving towards me, that's when I would roll forward. After this, more times than not, he would go behind me, so I would do a complete 180 to turn around and face him again. You want to keep him in front of you at all times so you know what's coming next. And he goes ahead and hits me with some slam attacks. First it was the one slam attack, then he took a couple seconds and then hit me with the double slam attack, which can happen frequently. I found that when I concentrated more on the spread of the attack, I was more successful. You want to roll through the spread. So even though we're looking at him rise up and knowing that slam is coming, I focused on the spread coming towards me so I knew when to roll through it. I will slow this down so you can see exactly when I'm rolling through. As long as you do it accurately and on time, it will not hurt you. And then of course, when he does one right after the other, you're gonna wanna roll one right after the other, back to back. Don't hesitate here, just roll forward again after he goes up in the air, because if you're even the slightest bit late, it's not gonna be forgiving. You gotta be more earlier than later when it comes to these. And then next, he went ahead and hit me with the projectiles, which I tried to shoot as soon as possible. If worse came to worse and I missed one of them, I would just dodge immediately as soon as it hit the ground near me, and I would just try my best to avoid it. Hopefully you will have one max. If you have any more than that, it could be really deadly and take you out. So do your best to shoot them down. If you just shoot one of them that's connected to a second one, both of them will go away. There's 6 of them, so that's 3 sets of 2. You could think of it that way. Just shoot one of the sets every time. Even though we don't see it in this attempt, that vine attack where he puts his sword into the ground and then he does kind of a twist, that's your visual cue to know that vine is coming. You can roll and escape it, but again, if you do get caught, just mash whatever button it is and then you can escape it. It's not too deadly, but it's just more annoying than anything. What is deadly though is that if you are caught, he will swipe across afterwards when you're least expecting it. So you have to be prepared to roll through this either left or right, and that could be deadly. So be prepared for him to swipe across and for you having to roll through it afterwards. Once you kind of see a few of these attacks, just know that he's going to repeat these. He's going to probably change up the order of them, but you are going to see just these attacks in the first phase. Now with the second phase, this is where it gets way more trickier, way more brutal, especially at first. It can really tear you up. It just takes time to kind of learn the patterns and the timings of things because there's a lot of delayed attacks from the boss, so then you have to delay your roll. As soon as the second phase starts, he's going to slam down his weapon and sweep it across. I went back and looked at my footage to count how many seconds this takes, and this is what I came up with. 1/1000, 2/1000, 2 seconds, or you can do a really fast count, 1/1000, 2/1000, 3. And right at 3, that's when it sweeps across. Whatever route you want to take or kind of think of, just know there's a few seconds in between that you gotta take into account. If you don't want to literally count to yourself, you can listen for the audio cue. I will play it right now where you can hear the sword about to come across. Or you could visually even just watch it if you have your audio a bit lower for whatever reason, just knowing that it is delayed and you're gonna have to spend a couple seconds either waiting, reloading, healing, whatever you choose to do to kill a couple seconds. Just don't roll constantly. Don't panic roll, because you're gonna run out of stamina, you're gonna lose the timing, you're gonna lose momentum, and it's just gonna become chaotic. So do your best to just spend a couple seconds either counting or just looking at your surroundings, making your character walk a step or two, whatever you gotta do. That is the trick to dodging this attack, and this attack is the most important in my opinion. If you can get this one down and dodge it, you will be in better shape. He also does these other attacks during this phase where you're kind of in this Tron-like area where he brings up vines and those slam down, and then he kind of does other attacks with his weapon. You just want to look for those visual cues. If he raises his arm, if he brings down that sword, you know it's going to be a sweep attack, things like that. Again, audio cues help as well. And then we're going to be switching back and forth between this area and then the regular area that we saw in the first phase. It's like you're back on Earth, back in your regular area, and the switch between can be difficult because if he's midway through an attack, when the switch happens, he will continue that same attack into the next area. So you have to constantly take note of what attack he is doing and be prepared to dodge either which way. So if he is in the middle of that sweep attack and his sword just went down, you're going to want to prepare to count a couple seconds and then dodge through it like you normally would. This is where it can get really chaotic, because if you're panic dodging, you don't know where he's at, you don't know where you're at in your dodge and your timing, it can just be really, really detrimental and you could die easily. It will feel impossible, but the more you do it, the more confident you will get, especially if you learn to delay your rolls. And it's all about just surviving, using your mods if you have them. Like me, I have the Nightfall weapon where it has a mod where I can just shoot constantly. It's unlimited rounds, and then I can actually get my health back as I'm shooting, which is really, really clutch. So I would pop that mod anytime I felt I was really in trouble. So if you have something like that, something similar, something to kind of bail you out, try and save it for this phase because it can get really crazy and you might really need it. I found that just staying in the middle was best. When I tried to go to the corners or the sides and try to see if I can cheese in any kind of way, didn't really work out. Just stay in the middle, keep him in front of you, watch his arm, watch his attacks, and just again try and delay those rolls and time everything out. After this phase, of course, is the final third phase, which is where you don't have to worry about the boss. He just kind of sits there, and then these minions come out and you have to avoid them. I did not bother shooting them. What I did was I just ran. I just ran for my life, and then I used my healing shots from my pistol to shoot down and collect them as I went, because I did get hit. So if you have similar, do it then. And if not, I would honestly still say to run and just try and dodge, roll away if they lunge at you and all of that. Because if you try and sit there and shoot, I feel like it's just going to be too easy to get overwhelmed and possibly miss your shots, and it's just not really worth it in my opinion. Try and run out the clock, and they say it's 30 seconds, but it really felt sooner than that. It felt like 20 or so. So just try and survive this, run, dodge, and that is it. You will beat the fight. So yeah, that's pretty much my tricks and tips and everything I did during this fight. It's very kind of straightforward, but at the same time, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of attempts, possibly, and hopefully this guide can help you get there a bit quicker and kind of help you see that it is going to be trial and error, but at least you're looking at it as what it is. It's just delayed rolls as he delays his attacks. And I hope that it helps, all right? Let me know in the comment section if it did. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.